but talking to her on the phone and realizing just how we deal with life differently in the way that she was looking at things more negatively.
Right.
And I turned everything more into a positive, you know, just way of looking at it.
And so did that leave you able to move on and get past it faster?
I think so, definitely. She didn't go back to school that semester. That semester at all. She basically just stayed and tried to, you know, recover, but she didn't want to do, you know, her physical therapy, which is the most important thing.
Why is that?
Well, we basically both had to relearn how to walk. If you don't start doing that and start getting your, you know, your bones moving again, your joints moving again, you're not gonna grow.
Right.
You're not gonna move forward. And she, you know, she would just call me all the time, just be like, "Oh, it's so painful," and I was like, "Yeah, that's physical therapy. That's
right.
You know, it's extremely painful." And she, you know, whatever they told her to do, she wouldn't do. And in my case, whatever they told me to do, I'd do twice, you know, more.
And try and walk faster.
Right. You know,
he'd
say take 3 steps, and I'd take 6. Yeah. And
but does that come from your attitude before you even got into the car accident?
Yeah, definitely,
I mean, were your personalities different?
Oh, yes.
Whereas you were just really ambitious and motivated, and she was just kind of like, well, if it comes, it comes.
Yes, definitely. But because of dealing with the way that I did deal with the car accident, I learned much. You know, that does really help. That I'm not just doing that, and it's not wasteful. That, you know, because I was so positive is why I healed twice as fast as they thought, and is why I'm walking and why I'm able to do athletic
Which also transfers over to every other aspect of your life, where you can allow it to transfer over to other aspects of your life, which just improves those aspects of your life. So how did your family initially react when, or your friends?
Well, my family, they were 8 hours away, and my parents heard on the message, like I'm on a message, a voice message, that I was fine, but I was in a car accident and I was going in for surgery. And they instantly called the hospital and got in their car and started driving. And they asked to talk to me, which ended up not being helpful at all, because I was like, "What's up?" And I was, you know, asking them if I had fun for New Year's, and they're like, "Donna, you know, you were in a car accident," and then I got all concerned, you know, because I didn't know.
Because you didn't know.
I was just my head injury was so bad. So they
You're
were
Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, exactly. So they just wanted, they asked me, you know, can I just talk to the doctor? Because they realized they weren't getting any information out of me. So when they got there, I think it was extremely frightening for them. My dad actually had to go into the emergency room because they thought he was having a heart attack. Which I didn't know about.
Oh
because,
my God.
Yeah, it was just very, I mean, I think seeing, you know, I was their youngest daughter, and seeing me in that situation, I think was very, very hard for them.
Oh
yeah,
my.
It was extremely hard for them.
And then you had to go and live with them for a little while, and
a long while.
That probably took a little bit of adjusting on your part as well.
It did, because I had, you know, been away from home for, you know, 2 years on my own, independent, and then going back, basically being nursed. But that they were there for you,
oh,
yeah. I feel so lucky. And they were so good to me. They were so good to me.
That's great. So how does your positive attitude change over to other aspects of your life?
I think that it helps in every way. It helps you grow. I think that it helps you, you know, I'm very optimistic, and just dealing with everything in that sense, I think things turn out better. And every time that, you know, something that someone might be like, "Oh, my life is ruined," happens, I try to, you know, make more jokes about it.
And also, it doesn't let the little tiny things bother you as much as it does somebody else. I mean, we all have bad days, but when you're having a bad day, you think the world's crashing in on you, and then if you're in a good mood and everything's great, it's like, yeah, I won't let them bother me, they won't get to me. And it's just amazing how your perspective changes when your attitude changes. So do you still talk to the girl who was the driver?
We will like email occasionally, but we weren't even that close of friends when we got into the car wreck.
That's interesting, because when you go through something like that, you can, I guess, even become closer because you're going through stuff, or you can draw farther away from each other.
We definitely got closer, but then I moved, you know, across the country. So, you know, it made it a little harder to stay in contact.
Right.
But, we had a moment after, you know, the whole car accident. I went and stayed with her for a while to help her out. But I told her one day on the phone that if she didn't change her attitude, that I wasn't going to be able to speak to her anymore, because she got to a point where she was just, you know, bringing me down, and it wasn't helping me at all. And I realized, you know, I can't have this negativity in my life right now. And I wanted to be there for her, but, you know, it was taking enough of myself to heal myself, not, you know, I couldn't like try to give everything to her as well. So we went about 2 weeks without talking, and then she called me and she thanked me, and, you know, to help her realize what she needed to be doing.
Did her attitude change?
Yeah, yeah, not drastically, but to a point where at least she was doing her physical therapy and realizing that she had to heal and had to continue her life, and that the people who were concerned about her and saying, you know, we're really glad you were alive, that she had to appreciate those people, because there was even a point that she wasn't.
Appreciating them for saying that I'm glad you're alive?
She was more, you know, upset at them, saying, you know, you didn't have to go through this, you know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she had.
That's interesting in itself. What kind of message do you want to send people, or what do you want people to get out of your story?
What I just wanted to, you know, share the story and let people know that, you know, things like I never thought this would ever happen to me, you know, and especially I was so young, and we were just going to have a good time, and it just turned into something completely different. And that if you know, when things like this do happen, because they do, and in many forms,
unfortunately,
in many forms, and, you know, and not, you know, physically, but also mentally, if you handle them in a positive way, you're going to be, you know, a lot better off, and you're going to get through things a lot quicker and a lot.
Exactly.
You know,
and like we
happier.
said before, that whenever you have a positive attitude, it also goes to other parts of your life, and it can only benefit every other aspect of your life. And people around you are impacted by it, and you don't think that they are, but they are, and then it just makes life a little bit better, a little bit happier. Thanks for joining me today, Donna.
You're welcome.
Thanks for joining us today on Jessica. If you have any questions about Donna or her story, you can email me in the email that will follow. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time on Jessica.
Jessica Show.